Hello everyone, welcome to the Curious Duke Gallery and thanks everyone for turning up today. I'm Stuart from inspiringcity.com and I'm the lucky host of this artist talk with a good friend of mine, a good friend of the blog, Sam Peacock. How are you doing, Sam?
Very well, thank you.
And it's an ideal opportunity really to speak to Sam about this latest show. So thanks everyone for coming along today and thanks everyone for watching online as well. So Sam, hello.
Hello, how are you? All right.
Tell me something about this show.
So this all started for me when I moved from London. I sold up in London. I moved to Hastings, a small town called Battle. I think part of the move was I found my work was going to change direction anyhow, simply because moving from the city where I'd spent 16 years creating work solely based around experiences within the city, to moving to a completely unknown area where colours would change, where for me living would change dramatically, where I found, so I've got a studio outside and moving to Battle, which is, it's probably the most quaint, quiet town in Britain. And then being on the coast by Hastings and having a coastline to explore, which kind of linked in with me massively in the work that I produce and tracing old paths around the coastal paths. So it's an artist's response directly to places such as Pet Level, such as Winchelsea, which are these gorgeous little hidden away beaches, and places like Fairlight, where there's kind of old galleons and ships. I know because I know you came down to Hastings, and we sat in a pub for a day, and I took you on a little tour. I didn't take you on the nice beaches.
You took me a tour of the pubs.
I took you on a tour of the pubs.
I didn't see much of the landscape, Sam.
No, but
come down and see the landscape, see my inspiration.
No, we just went to the...
Since when was your inspiration the inside of a bar?
This is true. This is true. It's some like strange Oliver Reed character just doing a pub crawl with you. But no, so a lot of the recent inspiration was based around places like Pet Level. And Pet Level being 4 million years ago a forest that kind of separated, where it linked what you had kind of continental Europe now to mainland Britain, and 4 million years ago it was just a forest, and at low tide now you can see the remains of the forest. And if you go further into the sea, so I got into sea swimming, I got kind of into going into the sea and just doing that and kind of exploring really, so exploring the land more. So this is kind of a reflection of not only the sea but the land, but I think me getting more involved with finding out, I think my artistic discovery. And I've learnt to use I found a metal detector. I went metal detecting just to find metal. And I know when we were on the beach, we kind of pulled loads of chain out of the earth, didn't we? And old bits that we found. And it was just, I don't know, I think I'm always looking for the colours. And being in the country, you get exposed to a lot more colours and a lot more. I think even at night time, even that kind of that 6:30, 7 o'clock sort of time when the sun is just starting to ebb away and it just exposes loads of colours. And even in the winter, the whole place is different from it is in the summer. So I try to capture a lot of that, with the sketchbook work that I do, and to capture some of the colours and some of the places that I've been to, and just try to put them into the art that I make. Really, I wanted to retain the steel and the coffee in the work, and I think I've kept some of the influences. Some of this stuff is this is based on Pet Level, and Pet Level, the cliffs itself, they're all falling away now, but originally they were where hunter-gatherer tribes used to sit, and you can still see the kind of rocks that they've carved. The hunter-gatherer tribes 4 million years ago have carved into the rocks, and they're all still there. And as animals kind of moved inlands from what's now the Channel, hunter-gatherer tribes have kind of used it as their dinner, really. Sit and take animals from the sea. It's quite nice.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm picking up there about your work. One of the first and most pressing things that I'm taking is your connection to the countryside. I suppose of the land, it plays to that desire that you got, that passion to do something in the place that you got. But a lot of your work seems to be influenced by the place that you're in.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yeah, so I mean every piece here and every piece that I've produced for the Curious Duke over the past two to 3 years, they've all got road names attached to them. So everything's named after a road, really, or a road or a place, or an old road that's maybe been forgotten and turned into a field, or maybe a field that's been turned into a housing estate, and maybe there's kind of old Roman remains, Celtic remains, which I look at on old maps and go and try and discover and take my metal detector. A lot of places you can't metal detect, but it's all named after the land. I mean, of the land comes from a piece of text that I was reading, and it just the saying of the land and how humans are all of the land and we all go back to the land. And I think that was such a striking, I was sitting trying to work out what to call the body of work of the land. It always kind of turned up, and I thought it's probably an apt title.
So when you're talking about really experiential type, a thought process that goes on with your work. So you're buying a detector, you're learning how to metal detect, you're trying to find stuff, you're going on the beach, you're digging up chain. Is that about getting a connection with? It's
process driven. I mean, I'm a process driven artist, and that's all I am. I mean, there's nothing. I think the process will change as the experience changes. I think that's what we're trying to drive at here. That's what I'm getting at. I think you always revert back to the type that you're just a painter, and as long as I can still connect and paint and connect with an audience, that's what I'm trying to get at. There's no great science to it other than just being who you are and this is who I am now and where I am at the point. This is me. There's nothing more than this. The past is the past, and I'll build on it and make. I'm making new work at the moment. I'm in the studio again because I know I need to build on what I've built. I know I need to progress as an artist and get better as a painter. I think we all need to get better at whatever we're doing in life, don't we? So you refine your practice, and then I start sketchbook work again now, and then I'll take it to Eleni over the summer, and I'll say, this is what I'm working on now. So I'm making small experimental pieces now, and the more kind of my experiences, just doing things, just being out walking. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be an artist. I don't think for a minute that I'm not. I'm in an extremely fortunate place where I can spend my life. I'm only in my 40s, but I can spend my life doing art. I've managed to carve that out. So it's been my life's focus to get to this. It seems quite strange, doesn't it? But when your life's focus has just been about making, is led to this point. This is where I am.
So I can track your work back a number of.
We've known each other for years. It's been nice.
And you look at this now, and it is different. There's more. It's bashed up a bit more. How do you think your art has changed since, say, the first time you exhibited in this very same space, maybe however many years ago? How would you describe that?
I think I was still very much learning when I met Eleni and the Curious Duke. I did used to bash steel up then, but I didn't really I smashed steel up for a hotel in where was it? Florence, just off the Arno, a place called Via La Vedetta. So I made a piece for them, and I was in Florence when I met Eleni. Strange enough, we didn't meet in Florence, which would be quite strange. But we met over social media, which was weird. And it was. It was purely by chance that we met. I don't think my work was as strong as it is now. Uh-huh. So you do have to kind of build on what you do. But I do look back at the work that I've produced and the work that I've still got at home. I don't much like the reflection process, but you do have to reflect on what you've done before to kind of work out where you're going in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's what I don't know. It's hard to give it the right amount of verbatim, really, but.
But there's something there. There's something there. You're able to sort of reflect on that journey and acknowledge the past so that you can do what you're doing at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, I've become very involved in history, especially locally in Battle. I've quite enjoyed living in Battle and learning about the local history in Battle. That's been a real positive for me. So.
Yeah, I remember when you took me up to that big castle in Battle.
Yeah, so that was the second fort that William the Conqueror built in England. That was.
Is there actually steps going on, or do you literally have to go up a muddy path?
Just go up a hill like that. You've got videos of me falling down the bloody thing, haven't you? But,
that's what I was getting at.
But the Romans were there before William the Conqueror was there. The Celts were there before the Romans were there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So people have always been there. Yeah. People have always etched a living from the land there. So it's really important to go and look at. I know you kind of think, where's he taking me now? But it's a really important experience that the hills that you've climbed with me and the cliff faces that we've climbed, they've been climbed by everybody from. Yeah. I mean, thankfully, kind of dictators like Napoleon and Hitler never turned up on these shores, did they? But there's so many people that did turn up on these shores and would have climbed that hill. So again, it's quite exciting, isn't it?
It is, and it's interesting the way that you're doing this, because absolutely, people from time immemorial have been in that very same space that we were there, and you gave these
quite amazing, isn't
levels,
it? Yeah,
and stuff
quite
like
amazing when you think, the things that I remember putting out, bits of wood, and thinking, blimey, the last person who probably touched this piece of wood would have been about 4 million years ago. Even when metal detecting, when you kind of go metal detecting, you start digging for kind of coins and stuff, which is what I generally do. I'm not much of a numismatic expert, but I think you just learn about coins and metals as you go on. But then you dig up a coin from like the Roman period, and you think, God, the last person that touched that coin would have been a Roman or would have been around when Romans were around. Isn't that's terrifying, isn't it? You get a great, I don't know, for me, there's a great connection with the land, but I've only learnt it, and I'm still, like I said, extremely naive to it, but over the past 2 years of living in Battle and living in this little town where you could just get up and have a coffee and then walk off kind of that way, and then you're in fields, and then you're in fields and forests, and you just keep walking. You're just on your own. It's beautiful.
You find a real connection then.
I'm learning about the land again. I lost a lot. I was born in the Midlands, as you know. I was born in a town called Rugby, which is still very close to my heart. But I've moved on. I'm sure rugby's moved on in its own little way as well. But as a child, you're exposed to the towns, but you're exposed to the landscape as well. And I just spent most of my childhood in a field, and it's just getting back to that again. So I've gone kind of full circle with learning.
So let's talk about the work that you've got and your process. I think a lot of people find your process very interesting because you describe yourself as a painter, a landscape painter. Yet when you look at your work, it's not a traditional painting, is it?
It depends what you call traditional. Tradition, you kind of say, I think Turner, for me, was one of the most kind of amazing painters and Turner's so celebrated anyway, isn't he? For me, that's traditional. I'm not traditional. I don't know what I am. I'm just doing what I want to do. I think you mentioned process. I think the process, I've used a lot of what I consider household paints. I think that came about from living in London, really, and not wanting to work on canvases and not wanting to buy Daler and Roney materials and not wanting to go to art shops and do... I quite enjoy sketching, but black and white sketches, pencils and charcoals, Making my own charcoal, that's quite exciting, out of willow trees. And I used to do that as a kid, and, we used to do that at art college. And it's just making things with your hands, isn't it? Talk about process, it is. It's not pressing print. And I know a lot of print editions are so much more than that. And I'm not knocking anybody's work at all, but for me, it's about every piece is an original, every piece is made by hand. It's where I'm at.
And how something like this then, that's above your head, it's a huge piece.
It's fall off the wall.
Just precariously balanced.
Cut me in two.
On the top.
I'd be one of them Instagram sensations, whatever they're called. What are they called? Social media thing. I'd be on the Sun News app the next day. Man gets decapitated by own artwork.
Perhaps we should have got a different place to locate to this conversation.
There we go.
But look at it. it is bashed up. How do you, just go... so it must be a very physical activity doing something like this.
I wait till it rains. I cover my steel in the land. So I dig the land out, water the land down, water the clay down, and then completely coat it in, which is wheelstone clay.
Yeah.
And then wait till it rains, so the rain splatters it, and then stand there with a sledgehammer on it and just smash merry crap out of it until I create the landscape I want to create. Right. So I'm working with the sledgehammer outside in the rain. And over the winter, I created this all through the winter, so it was cold this winter, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So every day was a challenge. So even when the days when your bones are cold and your muscles are cold, you just want to go inside. And most of the days I was like, I'm going inside, I've had enough now. You get to the point you think, I'm done with it. Then I'd have to come back the next day, and I use some chemicals to kind of enhance the aging process, shall we say. I use a lot of fire, so I've got a fire pit. I use a lot of various heats, butane, propane mixes and gas, but I use a lot of local wood as well to set fire to things. I just set fire. I just like fire. I like setting fire to everything. There's no great mystery. I've always liked setting fire to things.
And that's how you get There's
not a.
Everyone's nodding their heads now.
There's no.
Yep, that's Sam. Sam loves that stuff.
Oh, yeah. So when I pass away, I'm going to be buried. I think I'll go for the full burial. There won't be a flame involved.
The irony.
Yeah.
So looking at that thing, but it's the fire that gives it. Is it the fire that gives it the colour at the end? How does the colours get created?
So I spend a lot of time mixing my colours. Like I said, I buy industrial household paints. A lot of my time is spent mixing. If you look through the sketchbooks, there's lots of kind of colour test sheets, which kind of keeps me going till I find the right colour. And then it's a lot of it's experimentation with smaller, because I use a lot of smaller pieces of steel to set on fire first. See if I can get the colour right, see if I can get the texture right, and then... So the heat changes the colour, morphs the colour quite dramatically sometimes. I use little bits of almost like candle wax and I place them on there, which leave these lovely little circuits. They're not even on there. I can't even see the bloody things now. There's one or two, and when it all sets on fire, you've generally got it too hot. But when it melts, and it kind of melts away, but you see the Alterna paintings, and there's always a light on in the boat, and that kind of changed from industrialisation to the modern world, and it's all about that really. I quite enjoyed reading about Turner, and there's hopefully little bits of what I've learned about paintings and paintings of the time of Turner kind of feed into the work a little bit.
So when did you first realise that this was the sort of thing that you wanted to do?
There's any realisation. I think there was no kind of real point. I thought this is what I want to do. It's just what's happened.
Yeah.
It's progress, it's process, and it's progress. And you kind of think, I'm going to do that. This is the next evolving step. You just evolve, don't you, as an artist?
Yes.
You're meant to evolve. And I don't sit and plan it like in 10 years' time I'll be doing that. I think a day-to-day plan really is how I work. I don't sit and write it all down like in 5 years I'm going to do this. It's nice to think like that, but it never quite works out that way. I just write down what I'm doing tomorrow. And
living in the moment.
Maybe, if that's what it's called, living in the moment. Yeah, I live in the moment.
So let me rephrase it. When did you first?
Am I not answering your question? Sorry.
No, you have.
Awfully question avoidance here, isn't it?
That was a lovely, deep and meaningful.
And we've only got
answer.
half an hour to kill, haven't we? So
it was a lovely, deep and meaningful answer.
Go on.
I was really thinking, when did you decide?
You're not like David Dimbleby, are you? You're a lot more kind of. I'm getting Michael Parkinson more than Dimbleby with this one.
I'll take Parky.
I quite enjoy the Parky approach. Good. It's wonderful. You've even got Parky's body language as well.
I noticed we're in report.
It's more of a 70s Parkinson, but
absolutely. Oh well.
I do get it.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I do get it. It's all good.
So when did you decide that you like to set fire on things and bash it up?
I think it was at university. So I caused the most carnage that I've ever caused at university. I annoyed everyone. I used to set things on fire in the car park. So I'd go down the scrapyard, I'd take cars apart and car doors. And I for my final year, this was pre-computers, and this was 1990. God, when did I start doing this? 95. So this was kind of cutting shapes out of doors with a metal saw, and then going at it with a sledgehammer, and then using everything from red diesel to petrol, and just watch that go, but using the same sort of process with paints, and then having black smoke billowing out of Solihull College's campus. And I got into quite a lot of trouble, through that. I used to get into quite a lot of trouble.
Really?
I used to get into, yeah, but I knew I was going to. I've been in trouble before in my life. I know how to take a bollock, and it's okay. You just get on with it. Just get on with it and nod and agree. They didn't like what I was doing. It was a very much traditional course,
Yes.
So it wasn't me. I never got on at university. I completely messed university.
So this is your artistic outlet, really.
Yeah, well, it's just. University was great. University now, I think they've destroyed it for young people because they've saddled people with debt, and it's. I don't know quite where this incumbent of a government are going with universities, but people need to think and be able to do what they want to do, and if it's radical and if it's out there, they should be able to get on and do radical and out there things, shouldn't they? That's my thought about it. Instead of, you look at the art curriculum now, it's very much kind of going back to drawing and pencil drawing, but that's great. It's a great starting point at art. It's a great starting point, and if you're building on that, you're building on that. But for me, it was never about pencil drawing. For me, it was just about the fire.
I remember one time, I don't know when it was that we spoke, and I might be misremembering this, but were you? I'm gonna say it anyway. But had you harboured ambitions to buy a tank and set that thing on fire and bash up the tank? Is that a thing?
If I said to you, I'm consistently looking for things to buy and set on fire to. You're not far from the truth with what you're getting at. Eventually, I guess it will. If I manage to buy a tank, it'd be great. There's certain people in my life, like my wife, who might say, "You're not parking a tank."
Oi! Your dinner's in the dog. Get that tank out of this house. I presume she's not Yorkshire.
Like Ricky Gervais doing a northern accent there, wasn't it?
Oi, Peacock, get this tank out of the way.
My wife doesn't even like what. She's very much like, "What are you doing?" Smashing that with the extension. What do you think? What do you think I'm doing? Well, my journey is coming out of my kind of garden over, and I go down the garden to where the studio is, and around the back there is where all the steel gets smashed up. So my commute's quite easy. It's just down the garden. And then I just got the day to myself. I could just do what I want to do.
So what does that back of the garden? It's down the back of the garden, is it?
Yeah, it's all covered in trees. So I've got trees that overhang. It's lovely, yeah.
So describe it when you go in there. What does it look like?
It's just full of steel shapes that I've been making, full of bits of wood that I'm waiting to burn, full of bottles of chemicals, things that I want to boot sale. Yeah, it's all there. Yeah, it's just a proper. Well, I don't want to sound sexist in any way at all, but you hear the kind of bloke's den and bloke's shed. If there's such a thing as a bloke's den and a bloke's shed, I think mine might be up there with. I've got guns that I kind of old antique weapons that I kind of collect, and swords and knives, and I'm quite into all that. It's part of it. I think when I did the Novotel Hotel, a lot of that was, I went out and bought an antique rifle because it was made by the same company who used to export coffee from Canary Wharf. So that was a big part of it. Just learning about it's things that you kind of go and buy, isn't it? You go and buy things and.
So you use this place. It's your pad, but it's a place to experiment and to try new things and see what works.
I think that's when you start making art, when you start getting involved in it and doing things that are a bit out there and doing what you want to do, don't you? It's when the art starts. Start making art properly. You've got to experiment. It's got a lot of work goes wrong. There's a lot of things that don't get made. There's a lot of stuff that sits there. I mean, I've got an old part of a MiG-21 fighter jet. And that's full of bullet holes that the MOD sprayed with machine gun fire. So I've still got that, and I've worked on that, but that was meant to come to fruition. That never came to fruition. I've got antique breastplates that I've bought, from replicas from the 1900s that are just sitting there, that I've rusted and painted and set on fire, and they're still there because they haven't come to fruition yet. So there's lots of things that I'm working on that don't ever make it out the studio, and they're generally around the back with me. So there's always the thought process is always there to try and refine and make things.
Sam, I want to thank you for your time today at the Curious Duke Gallery. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. There we go. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant. There we go.